Well, good morning. October the 10th on Vancouver Island. Trust everybody is fine. Got a lot of important links in the description section here today. And trust you'll take a look at them. What we're going to concentrate on today is there's an election coming up, British Columbia election coming up on October 21st. And of course there's a lot of other pre-advanced polls. You can vote by mail, etc., etc. But the intriguing thing is, there's a lot of crap going on in the world as you look around. It's a lot of stuff happening in Canada, the U.S., all around. The Western world is in turmoil right now. So a lot's going to depend on how that all boils down. A lot's going to depend that we don't have that big earthquake that we've been waiting 220 years. We're sort of overdue for a major quake that would wipe out a lot of the places that we know. So provided none of that happens, and we have an election coming. So I guess you got to just can't worry about stuff that might happen. You got to just sort of focus on what's happening. Now, one of the things I bet you that most people who are going to vote don't know how many parties are running in BC. And if I told you 10, you would probably be surprised if you're most people. You don't realize there's that many parties that are running. And of course, in British Columbia, we have 87 ridings. And so to form a majority government, you have to win at least 44 of those ridings or seats. You got to have one over half, right? So it's sort of going to be interesting. I'm just doing the math again in my head. 44, that would mean there's 43 others. Yeah, 44 would give you a small majority of one. And somebody passed away, we'd be into a by-election and all hell could break loose. So I think, I suppose a lot of people are just so fed up with the situation they're not going to vote. But I suppose, that's part of being a citizen. If you're a citizen of a country, you should theoretically, and I know it's an illusion, but theoretically, the democracy is the majority of people making their wishes known. And sometimes democracy is an illusion and it sucks. But I think we all have that responsibility to go out and vote. Nobody's going to force you. Here in Australia, I think they fine you if you don't go and vote. Mind you, right now Australia doesn't seem to be, especially in the eastern side, doesn't seem to be a democracy. Seems to be just totally locked down crazy. We could end up that way here too. So right now we have a minority government. The NDP and the Greens have a coalition. But I think myself, the situation we're in, we're just sort of, our economy's in the toilet. Everything is all upside down. Everybody's panicking about the Wuhan waltz because they don't know if they want to dance or not, or how to dance, or how to keep out of the dance. And so I'm thinking, to solve our problems, we need a majority government. We need to have a government who can make decisions and go and do something, not having to pander to someone else who says, I'll support you if you do this, this, this. And it's like Justin Trudeau and Singh, the leader of the NDP, our federal government. I mean, we're sort of just a real crazy thing happening there. The NDP supports the federal Liberals if they give them this many candies and that many things and all that sort of crap. As I look through it, I'm looking at the Liberals, the Liberal leader he's a medical doctor and a lawyer, and I'm trying to think who I know has do I personally know who has those 2 degrees. Can't think of anyone. I think I knew a fellow who was trying to do that when I was a kid. He was a friend of my uncle's. But he had a nervous breakdown, ended up in a mental hospital trying to get both of those degrees. So it's not an easy thing to do. And the liberals have a neat, have a neat policy. They're going to knock off the sales tax for the first year. Now you think of that, our sales tax is 7%. So the liberals, we don't pay any sales tax. Now think of that. If you're building a house, you're doing something, you're in business, that's mega bucks you could save if you didn't have to pay sales tax. If you're a senior citizen buying new shoes or doing whatever you do, you don't have to pay sales tax. That's a big deal. A real big deal. And the second year, they would move it up to 3%. Until the economy got straightened around. And, well, knowing politicians, you never know how that's going to end. But the first year would be a big break for people trying to get going again. Now, I was reading an article somewhere in Vancouver alone, there's 14,000 businesses out of business. And that'll be little mom and pops and individuals and to big ones sort of thing. Seems like a lot, doesn't it? But I have to double check that article, so don't take that 14,000 as verbatim because we have to double check that. There's another party running, the Libertarians. They only have 25 people, but they have a neat platform. They're the only ones who have spelled out their platform, and I found that intriguing. Of course, I suppose it's easy to lay out your whole platform and have it intriguing when you know you're not going to be able to win. They're only running, I think, 25 candidates, so it's not much chance they're going to win any. They'll form a government. But anyway, check them out, see what you think. Try to vote if you can. You can vote by mail. You can vote in person on the 21st, or there are advance polls starting on the 15th. And should be intriguing. Should be intriguing. It's, like I say, it's a snap election. The NDP, I think, are being opportunists. Everything is in quagmire, and I think they're just taking a shot at trying to get a majority. So nobody can tell you who to vote for, but we hope you sort of research it all. There's some people who just vote. Some Canadians are like most Americans. Americans are either either Democrat or Republican. And they're not looking at the people or looking at what they've done or what they will do, their qualifications or whatever. They just vote because their family has voted that way for forever, and that's their religion. That's so. You could have donkeys running or elephants running instead of people, and they still vote for that party. And some Canadians are the same. They vote because that's the way they've always voted, or they think they're in a union or we're in a union and this party supports union, so that's what they do. But I think if people were critical thinkers, and of course most of us aren't, if we were critical thinkers and we really looked at this thing properly, we might have a different outcome. We really might. And who knows? When you sort of look at the whole ball of wax, there's not everybody going to be happy, but usually in Canada we respect that whole illusion of democracy, and the majority wins, and we accept that till the next time we get to vote. We don't go burning buildings, marching, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, or we haven't for a long time. You have to go back to the 1800s before we were being goofballs. We'll still have some protests and what have you, but for the most part, we accept the will of our neighbors and friends, and maybe we don't agree with it, but we move along. And as you look, if you look at these links, and as you look at I'm not the type of person who can cut myself out to get into politics, but you'll see from the links, and check out I have a link to all of the candidates running. There is a need for good people to get involved. Not only good people, but smart people. People with a vision. People who aren't stuck in a rut. You know, people who want to ban toothpicks and that sort of thing. You know, you got to have a marketing vision as well. So that's you. Just take a look at the slate of candidates running and the parties running, and maybe it's a good time for you to think, hey, enough of this nonsense, let's get involved. I'm not going to say anything about any of the candidates. I mean, I'm thinking they all mean well. I can see some career politicians moving from one party to the other and running just for the sake of running, because that's what they do. They make a good salary, good pensions, all that sort of stuff. But what we need are people who are concerned about the country, the province, wanting to do something good, not worrying about a pension or their own salary sort of thing. Just one, so we have everything from the BC Rural Party to whatever running. So it's crazy when you look at that list. But the one thing that stands out, the NDP have a platform policy, with their party, that if there's a lady running in a riding and she leaves, a white guy can't go run there. It's got to be a leather woman, or it's got to be First Nations, or it's got to be a minority, or it's got to be an LGBT. It's crazy. So, for myself personally, just that kind of policy, they're trying to be equal and good to everybody. So well that they're racist. So, for instance, if you're a white male, you're not going to be able to run in certain places. And you may be the best candidate possible. And the Conservatives have a person running. He was an NDP and he couldn't run his home riding because of that policy. So he went and joined the Conservatives. When you look, the Conservatives and the NDP, totally different. So I mean, obviously that person is a career politician. I mean, how can you sort of do a 180-degree turn just to run in your philosophy? But anyway, that's enough about meandering about that sort of thing. You got to vote for whoever you vote. But do check these links out and see who the candidates are and what you're voting for. Don't vote for a party just because your husband or your wife does, or your mother and father did, or your uncle and aunt did, or you've just done that forever. Let's get some critical thinking going and see what happens. Could be interesting. Take care. Bye for now, and we'll see you again.